Welcome to This and That Northwest.
They met and married here. You know, my mother was 18. I have a picture of my mom and my dad. They married when Pearl Harbor was bombed. And my dad was in his uniform, and he had to wait. He had to leave. When that incident happened, my dad had to go back to base. He waited like 4 or 6 more months, and they shipped him off. So they were married on Pearl Harbor. So every time their anniversary came about, my mom reminded, what happened today? He would always say Pearl Harbor was bombed. My mother would roll her eyes. Cooking, hunting, clean, washing by the scrub board, hauling water from our little river, little ditch, irrigation ditch by our home. She would, my mom was, I can't say enough about my mom. Strong woman. So, but she had gone to boarding school back in her day. So they taught her at boarding school proper table manners and how to set the table, how to sit properly and all this. That's what she was taught. My grandfather went to Cook Bible School in Phoenix, and he became an ordained minister. So my mother was raised in religion, a lot of religion. I mean, ordained minister, you go to church. And my other grandfather, which my dad's father, was traditional. He believed in the Creator. He had the old way. He did not want to assimilate. He fought it to the end. And this grandfather had a car. My mom's father had a car. My grandfather, on the other side, my dad's father, had a horse. Completely different. So I was raised like this grandfather with my mom. He'd give us matches. Go burn those weeds. We're little. This grandfather, don't you touch those. Those are bad. Only we can touch them. Yeah. But I love both of them. But one was so different. So I have both. But they love me. And that's what I got from a lot of people here now that I'm back, I see. They didn't get what I had, what I was given as a child. Uncles, aunties, grandparents love me and let me talk and express myself. What do you have to say? They let me be who I am. They didn't have to go. It was what the government told them, and it sounded good to my dad. My father wanted a better education for us. He wanted us to live in a nice home because where we were living, but we were happy. Anyway, you can't go back in time, but we begged my dad to come home. We wanted to come home. We didn't know we were going to be part of history. We had no idea what the government was doing. They were telling my parents, remember I was telling, you're going to have a house with lemon trees, orange trees, the kids are going to have a nice school. They showed all the people all through the United States, all the Native Americans, to do this for your family. But it was later on we realized it was for assimilation. We couldn't get rid of them. We couldn't kill them. So we're going to educate them. We educated them. Now we want them gone. So let's put them out there. Eventually, they're going to marry somebody else that's not native. The blood will go away. That was a good way to do it. So they did that to our people. And of course, I didn't marry a Native American. I married a Mexican American because I was the only Native in my school. Where I moved to in my school, oh my gosh. And but immediately when I crossed the border from Arizona to California, I immediately was labeled a Mexican. Through my whole life, everybody I would meet, they didn't know who they were, assumed I was Mexican. It was hard. That was the first time I faced racism, starvation, and assimilation, and so many things I faced. I mean, we lived in a concrete jungle, but we didn't know. I have never seen a building more than 2 stories, and we get off there, and there's buildings. I was fascinated and scared. When I was 5 years old, I could just see him in the field calling me. They called me Pichikadak. That was my name they gave me, and it means not behaving. So I got it anyway, my grandfather, when we got the word that we're going to relocation, I, as a child, I have no idea. What is that? My father came home and told my mother we're moving, we're going, and I heard them. I go, where are we moving? What are they talking about? And my grandfather took me in the field. I used to go out in the plow with him. He would sit me in the horse while he was plowing, and he only had one little plow with a wood, and it was wood made out of wood with a little sharp metal. He would hold that and make the row so perfect. And now they have tractors, whatever. But my grandpa would do, and I thought I was turning the horse. I thought I did it. Anyway, my grandpa came and he told me that I was going on a journey. And it was far. I'm going far away. I get teary-eyed. Anyway, my grandfather took me in his arms. He told me, but one day you're going to come back. So pick up that dirt. And he gave me dirt. He goes, let it go. And I did. He goes, now never forget who you are. You're an Akimo Otham. Smell that dirt. Feel it. These are your people. This is your land. And one day you're going to come back, but I don't know when, but you're going to come back. But never forget who you are. You're a Pima Indian. You're an Akimo Otham. Always remember that and be proud of who you are. And I love my grandpa. I kissed him, and I could smell the soap from the lye, and with sweat, but it was my grandpa. And when we left that very next night, and I belonged to the Coyote clan, and we were getting ready. It was late at night. I could see our shadows on the wall. They looked like they were dancing because we had a little pot-belly stove and it keeping us warm. And we heard the coyotes, and I go, listen, Mama. And my mom had tears. Why is she crying? I wanted to know why. I had no idea. And I remember going. I don't remember how we got to the train station or anything. All I remember, we were on the train, my brother and I was 5, he was 6, and we went to sleep, and all I heard was a booming voice, Los Angeles Station, I forgot the name, Alameda, anyway, and I woke up, what is this, where are we at? We're in California, at the Union Station, and I looked up, and I was so excited. It was Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day always has a special meaning. And we got out of that, and that's when my whole life changed. What I saw on my dad, when we got up, we're all getting up, and my mom I could see her fear. I never saw that in my mom. She's a very strong woman. And I looked at my dad, and I'm 5 years old. I looked at my dad, and he was like, okay, let's get going, and he was ex-military, so he raised us to sit up straight and, but he was like, I could tell he was frazzled. He didn't know what to expect. So we get off of the train, and they give me a little paper, and my dad gives it to me, a 5-year-old girl, because I talk a lot. He goes, here, Priscilla, go ask that man where this is. So I got that little paper, and I went to ask the man, and he told me, and then I called my father, and the man said, well, over here, you go out the door, and you go stand right there, and the man will come for you. I don't know what he was talking about. That's what he told me. So my dad was by me. He goes, okay, thank you. And I go, thank you. And the guy taps me in the head. So I took my family. I was a spokesperson at 5 years old. My dad and my mom would ask me, go find out Priscilla. I'll be right back, And I'm a little kid, and I was a spokesperson. I still am, because I'm speaking to you. My dad, since he was ex-military, he got a job with McDonnell Douglas Aircraft Company, and he had a good job with a union. So but they took my dad and put him away from us. So my dad wasn't even with us for like 5 months. We were stuck in Los Angeles. My dad was stuck out in the outskirts of Los Angeles. He was, and we were right downtown. So that was the time where we were separated from my dad. My mother didn't know what to do. My younger brother was only 13 months. And we were there in that little hotel room, and we were separated. My mother never worked when we first got here because she had to take care of us. And my mother, when we were out here, she was a housewife. She was with church functions and out here when she would stay at home mom. She did everything. So eventually, my mother became a maid for wealthy families. When we finally moved with my father, she got a job behind the gates of Palos Verdes Estates, it's called. Not wealthy people, they hire her as a maid. And she used her skills from boarding school to make an income. 7 years ago, recently, I spent my whole life in California, Southern California, and a little town called Harbor City, but then I lived in Lomita, the little area by the ocean, Southern California on that side. Nice areas. Predominantly when I first got there, predominantly black African American community. Then which was sort of rough, and then I went to a Mexican American community, and then a predominantly white community. And then I went to an Asian community before I moved here. I lived in Monterey Park, up on that little hill there with the Asian community right there. The best place to get any kind of Asian food. But I moved back after my husband passed, and I was married for 45 years. And my husband that's his picture there. He's an awesome man. He was just so good. And when you lose somebody that is so good, it's hard to let go. But he treated me just so wonderful. Just a good man. We were good friends. I married my soulmate, my best friend. So after his passing, he talked to my 3 sons. Before his passing, he talked to my 3 boys. He said, all I ask you to take care of Mom. I said, oh, honey, I'm okay. And they took it to heart. They're just like their dad. They worry about me. And that's why I'm here. I didn't want to leave California. I was fine. And my son said, no, Mom, you can't be here. This house is too big. You need to come back. My one son was here. My youngest son goes, Mom, I have a home. I have extra room. He's not married. I have an extra room. I'll give you the master bedroom. And my husband and I had planned to retire, to come back here because I can have a home built. And that was our plan. Anyway, that's why I'm here. And then I said, okay, I will try it. And I was so used to California, and I moved to a little town called Maricopa. And if you Google it, you'll see where Maricopa is. It's right over here. It's a little ways this way. It's a honky-tonk town. And I came from everything so convenient to, I have to drive 27 miles to work to Home Depot. And, and living in California, I almost went back. But what drew me here was the people, my land. And every time I leave, I come right across that little gate, little area right there by the stoplight. I come through there, I go, I'm home. And it was meant to be. So I'm happy. And if I didn't come back, I wouldn't be sitting right here talking to you, helping people. I've talked to so many people that they're going back to school because they see what I'm doing. I told one young lady, you can have this job. Just go back to school. She goes, I go, don't say you can't. If you say you can't, you won't. Just do it. And she's getting her GED. She's going to graduate. She's going to go to higher education. So it makes me as a person feel good to come back, And I went to the field where my grandpa, I can't even talk about that. Anyway, I went there and I'm back, Grandpa. And I was moving. Yeah. Took a long time, a long journey. But I always remember what my grandfather told me. I kept my self-identity.